They tried to quench the fire, drown it all in chains, tried to break our will and wash away our names. But every spark they buried only fed the flame. Now the cry of freedom's roaring through the rain. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. Forever reign. Now the walls are shaking from the battle cry. Truth is rising to the sky. Every soul that ever felt the weight of chains feels the fire of freedom in their veins. No more chains, no more lies. Hear the thunder as we rise. Freedom's call won't be denied. Now the fire burns worldwide. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. Let the fire of liberty forever reign.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Come gather round the footlights, lads, and hear the old boards groan. A tale of ink and iron will, of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. From Long John shadowed silver grin to Jim with compass true. We speak the words, we wear the scars, we make the old world just ship a single breath. The course is not set yet. We players sail, we players sail, we players sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026!
Two million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand, talking sense to the heart of this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From D.C. to Tulsa, he's calling it out. Mic in his hand, yeah, he's got the clout. Heartland Radio, raw and real. Tune in, speak up, and feel what we feel.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
With guests in the mix and callers on cue, he's a voice for the many, not the few. We'll grab your coffee,
And welcome into the program, ladies and gentlemen. And that's right, it is Chat Lives Matter Day right here live on KLRradio.com, otherwise known as Wednesday. For those of you working for the weekend, you're about at the top of the hill. So yeah, today is Wednesday, Chat Lives Matter Day, Hump Day, and that is given to you in no particular order. However, hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. I'm kind of not, I have to admit. I got mad last night. And we're going to be getting into that a lot in hour 2 because the masks have come off. The cheating is now happening right in front of us. And the side that keeps quote unquote winning doesn't care because it's their side doing all the chicanery and shenanigans. And I said what I said. And and the funny thing about that is what they don't realize is eventually the side that they're currently cheering on is going to turn on them too, because I've been telling you guys for years that the reason the left is so heartily and openly cheering for Iran to win right now is because they've been running their side of the aisle the same way Iran does. The left has basically been acting like the mafia now for years, and I've been trying to tell everybody this, and nobody wanted to believe me. Only a handful of people wanted to see it, but now they're doing it right out in the open. So in hour 2, we're going to do a deep dive on all the different ways the Democratic Party has basically become the political mafia. But for hour 1, of course, we got to talk about what's going on with Iran and the fact that the media is saying one thing, the president is saying another, and apparently there is a bit of a civil war of sorts going on in Iran right now, because I guess the IRGC is tired of people that are trying to make deals with Trump, and so they've kidnapped the supposed leader, which makes no sense to me because I'm pretty sure that leader was already in their pocket. I think maybe that leader is just trying to keep what's left of his body intact and try to stay alive. And I don't think they like it very much. But of course, we're going to start by talking about that because there's been lots of things that have happened. As I said earlier, the ceasefire has been extended. I don't really know how much I agree with them extending the ceasefire yet again. But unlike ABC News reported yesterday, this is apparently not an indefinite ceasefire. And I think Trump is just kind of waiting to see if any more of these cracks that we're starting to see widen, deepen, or what happens. But here's what's happening in the meantime. Iran appears to be testing the limits of the ceasefire as less than 24 hours after President Trump extended it, the regime reportedly attacked 3 vessels attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz and seized control of 2 of them, according to sources. Now, we've got a clip, and of course we're going to play that, but hang on, I got to find the right screen to put it into because I realized I didn't load it in advance because I have been frantically prepping all morning because of all the news that's going on. So one moment, please. Spring must be sprunging because I hear birds out my window. Interesting. Maybe we're finally getting to the point where it's gonna stop with the back and forth weather. I hope soon because it's been weird here again. Anyway, here is one of the video clips that I was talking about. I think. Nope, that's not the right one. But that one will work in a minute, so I'm glad I found it. Here we go.
Media claiming the country attacked 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and 2 of the vessels are apparently now in the control of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
This is Axios reports that President Trump is giving Iran 3 to 5 days to unify behind a ceasefire counteroffer. That's getting their side on the same page, let alone getting us on the same page with them. Lucas Tomlinson joins us now with the details. Lucas, what's the problem with Iran?
Well, Brian, just hours after President Trump extended the ceasefire to Iran indefinitely, it appears that Iran is already breaking it, opening fire on at least 3 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and commandeering 2 of them. And President Trump announcing the ceasefire yesterday on Truth Social. I'll read it to you, Brian, and everyone. It says, quote, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded. Now, early this morning, the first attack by Iranian gunboats took place in the Strait of Hormuz, causing heavy damage to the bridge where you drive the ship, of course. The second attack took place 8 miles off the coast of Iran, the third attack nearby. Ship tracking shows a Panamanian flagged and Liberian flagged vessels attacked and seized. Iran's state broadcaster says the 2 vessels are currently inside Iran's territorial waters, being held for inspection of their cargo, documentation, and related records. Recalls just a few days ago, on Friday, in fact, when President Trump said Iran would never again close the Strait of Hormuz. Last night, he said financial pressure is key to ending the war, posting, quote, Iran is collapsing financially. They want the Strait of Hormuz opened immediately, starving for cash, losing $500 million a day. Military and police complaining that they are not getting paid. SOS. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance's trip to Islamabad for a second round of talks with Iran continues to be on hold. Iran says they are not sending a delegation until the blockade is lifted. And certainly, Brian, you have to imagine that after Iran commandeered 2 ships, attacking 3 of them, that also will jeopardize these talks in Islamabad.
I would say so. Thanks so much. And that's kind of new, Lucas, that we didn't know they were holding on to the ships, UK and Panamanian. And also 21 minutes ago, the senior Iranian advisor says the U.S. blockade is no different than bombing us and must be responded with a military response. And that is the speaker, Mahdi Mohammadi, an advisor to the parliament speaker, came out with that statement, we assume, from the speaker. So let's see. Do they want to end the ceasefire, Lawrence?
They don't. They don't want to end it.
All right, so there you have part of it. Now, there's a lot more going on with this because, again, Iran claims that they opened fired on some vessels and seized a couple. But what exactly are they up to here? Because, yeah, they're not happy about what's going on. They're being squeezed by U.S. blockades that are costing them anywhere between estimated 435 to 550 million dollars a day. And according to Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, as he's explained, that's going to cause their Karg Island operation to be shut in soon. That's the money that sustains the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, otherwise known as the IRGC, that would then, of course, be cut off. Meanwhile, the U.S. is even seizing its ships like the MV Tosca and tried to run the U.S. blockade. Now, the interesting thing about that is we now know what was on board that particular cargo vessel and why it was they were so intent on trying to run the blockade. There were lots of missile fuel sources and stuff in there. So yeah, it seems like Iran may still be getting help from other sources, and we'll be getting into that in a minute because I've got some other updates from the Secretary of Treasury. However, so they did try to run the U.S. blockade, but what's the regime? What are the regime's options right now? They can continue to try to make trouble in the strait because they can. Iranian state TV claimed on Wednesday that the regime had fired on 3 ships and seized 2 of them. Of course, because they're the regime, there are some problems with that story. The first part of the story is that 4 Mediterranean shipping company ships ran the same line as the cruise ships that had been running to avoid the IRGC. You can see them turn off their transponders as they were going through the strait and then coming back on again after they made it past. So the question becomes, were these ships actually seized or not? So 6 more ships made it past the strait, hugging the coast with their transponders off. The problem arose with the 2 ships traveling separately, the MSC Francesca and the Eponymous. I'm probably butchering the hell out of that name. Iran claims they fired on them and seized them. They also claim they fired on Euphoria, and that it is stranded off the Iranian coast. But the present location shows that the Euphoria is at Khor Fakkan in the United Arab Emirates. So they don't really seem like they're very stranded now, do they? That sounds like a lot of as as we used to say when we were trying to be politically correct, male bovine excrement. Yeah, just saying. The UK Maritime Trader Operations Agency, is known as the UKMTC, said that one of the ships reported being fired on by the IRGC gunboat without any prior warning about 15 nautical miles northeast of Oman. So the problem may have been that these 3 ships weren't hugging Oman as much as they were further north towards Iran and the approved lane that Iran is monitoring. The crews are reportedly uninjured. Now, this is obviously an effort for the IRGC to flex after their ship was seized by the US. The problem is it's not US ships, and they're just antagonizing more countries, other people over their actions. And that only increases the calls that they need to be dealt with. So it's a flex, but it's you remember Bugs Bunny when he would, be like trying to show off, and he would be like, look at what I can do, and a little tiny muscle would come up, and he would like squeeze it to try to make it even bigger, and then the cartoon would go boom, and all of a sudden the arm was all flabby and saggy, and muscle was in the opposite direction. I kind of feel like that's what's going on with Iran right now. But of course, all of the media, including some of the sources that we try to pay more attention to, are all falling in line with the IRGC's BS as far as what they're reporting. The problem with that is one of the biggest people that's been reporting all of the IRGC stuff and doing it as if they're kind of in the room, they're in California. So, we might get into that in a minute as well. I don't really know. Because, let's see. I think I have that story here somewhere. Give me just a second. Because I just realized I still have that on the screen while I'm trying to figure something out. And the last time I did that, people were like, what are you doing? Like, I forgot I had it on the wrong output. Anyway, okay. So, let's see what we can find here. Because like I said, I know I've got that somewhere if I can find it. All right. No, not finding that bit right now. But we'll get back to that in a minute. All right. So, in other news, in our international block, as I've come to call our opening first bit of the show, I don't know if you've heard about this yet. This is from Ward Clark over at Red State. A Chinese national has been intercepted at JFK Airport after an airbase incident. So let's look into this together. This is from Raw News Alerts. A 21-year-old Chinese national, Tianuru Liang, has been arrested and is facing charges after photographing a U.S. Doomsday plane, another military aircraft without authorization, at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. He was taken into custody at JFK Airport. So, following the incident, according to Fox News, a Chinese national was arrested at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport after federal authorities say that he photographed sensitive military aircraft near Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska and planned to target another installation as he prepared to leave the country. Tianru Liang, 21, is accused of violating a federal law that restricts photographing defense installations without authorization, according to court documents filed in the Eastern District of New York. Authorities say Liang was taken into custody on April 7th while attempting to board an international flight just days after a warrant was issued in Nebraska. So you might kind of seem like they scooped him up as he was headed back to China, but here's the plot twist. He was headed back to the college where he is a student, the University of Glasgow in Scotland. Liang, who is understood to be studying aeronautical engineering in Scotland, was arrested at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York on April 7th, where he had a reservation for a one-way flight to Glasgow via Frankfurt. He is expected to appear in court later this month. Well, he was in fact a student of aeronautical engineering in Scotland. That explains everything. That explains why he flew all the way from Scotland, made his way to Nebraska, and just happened to film some of the United States Air Force's most sophisticated and classified aircraft. I mean, that explains everything, right? That explains it. That explains it. Okay. So yes, that was sarcasm, and yeah. So in case your SARC meter is busted, I'll make it easy for you. But according to an FBI affidavit, investigators were alerted after a witness reported seeing a male holding a camera with a telescopic lens near the base where aircraft are stationed on the flight line. Offutt hosts high-value reconnaissance and command aircraft, including the RC-135 surveillance plane and the E-4B Night Watch, often referred to as the military's Doomsday plane. Federal agents say Liang later admitted to photographing several aircraft at the base, including the ones that we just talked about. So, you know, you could almost make the claim that it was a dumb foreigner, didn't know what he was doing, and that, as somebody who's studying aeronautical engineering, he just wanted some cool pictures. Except the aircraft that he most definitely chose to photograph were heavily classified. So yeah, pardon me, coffee sip had to be done. Has to be at least one or two every half hour if you're new around here. And that's a little on the light side because that's actually only my second cup today. I don't know. I think it may still be my first one. Okay, so let's see what else we can get into real quick. Now, I think we're going to start leaving behind the international segment for a bit because, look, I've already told you most of the meat of everything that's going on in Iran. Trump's given them 3 to 5 days. Apparently, the IRGC has allegedly kidnapped the current Ayatollah, whoever that may be, because we're not even sure. And the administration is recognizing the fact that country's leadership is entirely fractured, and they're trying to give them some time to figure out who they're going to let be in charge to see if there's anybody that we can talk to. So I have to admit, after seeing everything that I saw yesterday and hearing everybody freak out when Donald Trump extended the deadline and blah, 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 and did this and did that, I was mad about it. I really, really was. But the more I've dug into it, the more that I realize that there's kind of more going on here than what we're being told. And that's always the case, especially when you're dealing with military operations. But the fact that so many on the left are just openly cheering for the other side when it comes to Iran is insane to me. Because, well, I said we were going to leave it behind, but I forgot. I didn't go into detail on this part. So we're going to get to, I knew there was something I was leaving behind, but we'll get to this and then take the break. So you might actually think that Iran would be kind of happy after President Trump announced that he would be continuing the ceasefire until their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded. But they actually seem kind of mad about it, which doesn't really make sense. According to Iranian state TV, Iran does not recognize the extension of the ceasefire announced by Trump. It may not commit to it and will act in accordance with its national interest. Now, of course, everybody on the left and even some of the folks on the right are using this as if Trump's looking like he got pantsed on the world stage and is being made to look weak, etc. But I think the problem with this is everybody in the media has gotten used to an administration that could and would be lucky if it managed to pull off one thing at a time. But nobody's talking about the multi-pronged approach being taken with Iran from multiple directions, and I don't just mean militarily. But why would they be unhappy about this? Because the blockade continues. Just because they aren't having bombs dropped on them doesn't mean they aren't still getting choked out by the blockade. We talked about that a little bit ago. This is reportedly costing them anywhere between $435 million a day to $550 million a day. And their currency is already at zero based against the US dollar. However, the Treasury Secretary has been explaining exactly how the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, specifically the guys behind the regime, are being hit right in their wallet, and it's happening big time. And I quote from his X account, as POTUS has made clear, the United States Navy will continue the blockade of Iranian ports. In a matter of days, Karg Island storage will be full, and the fragile Iranian oil wells will be shut in, or in this case, technically kind of shut down. Constraining Iran's maritime trade directly targets the regime's primary revenue lifeline. The U.S. Treasury will continue to apply maximum pressure through economic fury, because remember, we have epic fury going on the battlefield, we have economic fury going on behind the scenes, and this is being used to systematically degrade Tehran's ability to generate, move, and repatriate funds. Any person or vessel facilitating these flows through covert trade and finance risks exposure to U.S. sanctions. We continue to freeze the funds stolen by the corrupt leadership on behalf of the people of Iran. So why is Karg so important? We've talked about it before, but if you're new around here, I'll give you a quick refresher. 90% of Iran's crude oil comes through a terminal of the island, transported through pipes from the mainland. The tankers then come back down the Gulf and out of the Strait of Hormuz to China, the main buyer of Iranian oil, who buys it at a steep below market value discount, which I keep explaining this. With what's happening in Iran right now, Donald Trump is weakening Russia and China and Iran all at the same time. Now, I've never been one of these people that likes to use the 4D chess and 5D chess analogies that everybody throws around for this man, because I don't really think of him as a genius. But this was smart in ways that we're not going to understand for years, especially if it does what we hope it's going to do. And the problem with all of this is, if this was any other president in any other time in history, they would be being lauded right now for everything that they're doing to clean up a mess that we made 50 years ago, over 50 years ago. And this is our mess. I've been saying this for years. We made this mess back in the 50s. I understand why they did what they did at the time, because they just finished fighting a huge socialist monster. Iran tries to elect a socialist prime minister, and both British and American people were like, yeah, no, we're not doing this again. because he wanted to nationalize a company that eventually became British Petroleum. And the Brits weren't happy about it. So we helped destabilize the region and get him ousted. I have never been a fan of Team America World Police. I am a fan of Team America cleaning up its own messes, though. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, I don't really know what I want to play on the break. But we're going to take a break. I haven't decided yet. But we do have to take a break because I've got more to get into. Lots more to get into. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Again, it is Chat Lives Matter Day right here live on KLRradio.com. I am Rick Robinson. I'll also be back tonight with a special America Off the Rails. I'll be honest, I forgot I was supposed to be off Sunday night, and then I realized I was going to be off Thursday anyway. So I went ahead and did Kingdom and Country Sunday night when it's my usual off night for the week. And I didn't get to do Monday's Rails. So, nah. Who else wanted to sniff some white stuff right then? Just me. Might have been just me. I'm kind of okay with that anyway. All right. So anyway, yeah, I didn't get to do the America Off the Rails show Monday night, so we're doing it tonight, starting at 7. I'll be here for the entire night for Chat Lives Matter night as well, in one form or another. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
No script, just a needle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out. Mic in his hand, yeah, he's got the cloud. All and radio, raw and real, tune in, speak up. When the call comes in, somebody answers. Day or night, they're already moving. Calm voices, fast hands, doing the work while the rest of the world freezes. From a headset to a truck, from a badge to a door, they don't stop to count the cost. They step in when it matters. It's not about being seen, it's about being there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Before the sirens fade, before the scene is clear, someone's already making sense of the moment. Keeping people alive, keeping things from getting worse. Some run toward danger, some stay behind and hold it together. Different roles, same weight, same promise to show up. When everything's on the line, they're already there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. This is service, this is sacrifice, this is how lives are saved. No spotlight, no applause, just showing up again and again. They're holding the line when the world goes dark. When everything's breaking, they hold their ground. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line. red dirt roads to the Capitol steps.
And welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give a quick shout out to Denny hanging out in the chat. We've got some pretty, the numbers are kind of low for a Wednesday, but they're not terrible. I've got some stuff spread out all over pretty much every platform. So our chats are open. Feel free to say hi if you want. It doesn't matter. You don't have to talk. And for everybody who's like, I don't understand why your chat's always so empty if all these people are paying attention to you. It's the same thing that I found out on terrestrial radio. I used to fill in here locally all the time and actually did shows for almost 3 weeks running for a morning show. And I had the same 7, 8 people call me every single time. So people don't like to talk to radio, folks, and except for the few that do. Anyway, but okay. So we've been focusing mainly on Iran for right now. We do have some other nationals or international stage stuff to get to before we shift things very nationally, because things have gone nuts. Yeah. Okay. So, because there's lots of stuff. So we talked about the whole China thing and their continued espionage, and this again. I'm gonna tie this back to something we've been talking about for a while now, and that is this whole birthright citizenship stuff. Unless we want to continue to just cede more and more authority to China, we got to end the current use of birthright citizenship, because I'm going to say this again. This means people that are communist can come over here, stand on a beach for a minute, drop a baby, apply for U.S. citizenship for their baby, and then take them home and have them raised and propagandized by the CCP. And I know I have rules. I've now mentioned China more than once, so now we got to do this.
China is asshole.
It's not my fault, man, because they really are. Oh, so I wanted to talk about this. I saw this while I was on the break, and I'm going to see if I can find it again, because I've managed to not. I didn't click on it while I was thinking about it. So I'm looking to see, where did I see that story? Because I just saw one that was like weird, because it was somebody who basically had put out the idea of, where did we get the idea that made in China meant low quality? Oh, it was on X, and I didn't bookmark it. But still, I don't really need to go too far into their line of thinking, because I can tell you why made in China means low quality, because they produce crap in China. And they really do. Even the reason that the American companies started shifting a lot of their stuff to China was to try to keep prices lower. And look, I get it. I understand. We are bargain hunters. We are always people looking to get stuff on the cheap, on the discount, whatever we can do. But I'm going to say this again. You kind of get what you pay for. It's the reason why you can, everybody talks about the minor differences between Toyota and Lexus, because they're basically the same company. Just one is more expensive. But the reason one is more expensive is because one tends to last a little bit longer than the other. And it doesn't necessarily go the way you think, because everybody's like, well, you're basically getting the same car if you get the Toyota version. It just doesn't have some of the bells and whistles. Yeah, it's also not as nicely crafted and not using a lot of the same engine parts, etc. Because while they look the same on the outside, what is on the inside is a little different. But yeah, anyway. So, yeah. But yes, Chinese crap is Chinese crap. Just saying. All right, so gonna start moving things into kind of more of the national angle, but not in the vein of the big stuff that we're going to be getting into in hour 2, because there's still plenty of stuff to talk about. And this is a clip from Eric Doherty. This is the person who Donald Trump wants to lead the Fed, and I'm just going to play the clip and then we'll talk about it, because I laughed my ass off. I'm just going to be honest. Here we go.
In one aspect of President Trump's economic agenda with which you disagree.
Well, Senator, the Federal Reserve in recent years has wandered outside of its remit, wandered into other areas.
I'm asking for something
That's
you
not something I'm
disagree
prepared
with Donald
to do.
Trump on.
If I'm confirmed, the Federal Reserve should stay in its lane.
Just one little place where you disagree with Donald Trump.
Well, I do have a disagreement, actually, Senator, with the president. I think even this morning, he said that he thought I was out of central casting. I think central casting, I'd look older, grayer, and maybe show up here with a cigar of sorts.
Quite adorable. But you know, we need a Fed chair who is independent. That's the only way we preserve the independence of the Federal Reserve. If you can't answer these questions, you don't have the courage and you don't have the independence.
Okay, so Pocahontas wants to start talking to people about integrity. So I didn't really laugh at his joke so much. Don't get me wrong; it was a pretty cool joke. It was all right. But what I laughed about was her. Well, we need a Fed chair that's independent from Donald Trump. You know what? I'm going to say this again. We don't need a Fed, much less a Fed chair. We don't. Centralizing our bank was one of the biggest, dumbest decisions that we have ever made because it changed the entire trajectory of this company. It started the process to decouple our money from tangible assets. It started the process for government agencies that have and has been confirmed by Doge magic money printers. So when they run out, certain agencies can just fire up a printer and start printing out more money. Not the Fed, not the Fed, government agencies with access to Fed computers that have the ability to put out more money in the form of zeros and ones, which is stupid. We have saturated the market with our money, which has devalued it like crazy. And then everybody wonders why everything's so much more expensive than it used to be. Our money sucks. And the scary thing is, if you adjust for the rate of inflation, most things really aren't that much more expensive than they used to be. When you take into account that minimum wage when things were cheap was $1.25. But what a lot of people don't realize is the amount of silver that was being used to generate that $1.25 when you pay it in 5 quarters was about $40 at the time, adjusted for inflation in today's money. So we don't have a money problem in this country in the way that you think. We have a problem with people thinking that they should just be able to print money whenever they want. We have spending problems in this country. We have a government that is want to do anything about its spending problems. Now they talk to you and me about it all the time. Well, because of this, this, and this, you owe the IRS X amount of dollars and you have to deal with it now. We don't have the capability to fire up a money printer. I wish we did. Oh, damn, I forgot. I got to pay the electric bill and I'm broke. Hey, honey, let's go fire up that money generating laser printer we got. We do that. That's counterfeit. The government does it. It's business as usual. I need you to really let that part sink in because we have created a rules for thee but not for me scenario with our government. They have golden ticket healthcare. They have a golden parachute when they get out as long as they've been in service for a certain amount of time. You and I don't have access to those things anymore. Why should they? If they're going to put laws and rules in place for me and you, they should have to live and work under those same laws and rules. If we have to budget to survive, so should they. If we have to go to an urgent care clinic and pay cash, then at times, so should they. If you want things like the Abominable Care Act fixed, you have to make the government use it because it ain't broke for them and they have healthcare that you and I are going to be paying for the rest of our lives. They have retirement packages that you and I are going to be paying for the rest of our lives. This was all supposed to be about public service, not golden parachutes. And I've said this before because while I'm on this topic, I'm starting to see a lot of people talking about term limits again. Let me clue you in on something. Oklahoma has term limits. Everybody thought it was going to be an amazing idea. But what has happened is we have forced some of the best people that have been in those seats out. And what has started happening is you've had people that have gone into it, realize that they only have a certain amount of time to get things done, try to do whatever they can do to keep their constituents on their string. And then about a year before they hit their expiration date, they're doing everything they can to line up a golden parachute of some sort, either whether it's pursuit of another office later or some sort of private sector gig that pays them millions of dollars a year. So everything has consequences. What we have to start deciding is what consequences we are willing to put up with and what ones we are not willing to put up with. And I am tired of having people that are supposed to be the ones working for me and you living like they are the Duke and Duchesses of America, because that's what they do. Now, that is by design, and it's our fault. We have made politics so damned expensive that it's almost impossible for anybody that doesn't have either a silver spoon shoved up their yes sirree bob or access to unlimited funds and money to even get elected anymore. And everybody thinks that's not by design, that it just kind of came about that way. But I would like to remind you that a lot of what we're going to be talking about the next hour is exactly how the Democratic Party became a lot like the mob. And let's face it, other than seeming to like to be out of power because they can fundraise better, meaning the Republicans, they kind of have the same kind of stuff going on. The difference is the left has totally jumped the shark and they're not even hiding it from you anymore. There are so many things that we're going to be talking about next hour that prove and should make you understand why, at the national level, the Democratic Party is supposedly really unpopular. However, they keep managing to win local and state elections, and even the one in Virginia from last night. But the thing about it is, and we'll be getting into this in more detail, they had to spend a lot of money to get those 2 points, 2.5 points, 2.2 and 3/4 points, whatever it was. They had to spend a lot of money to get there, and they still didn't hide the cheat. We'll be getting into that too. But yeah, I mean, all of this is just driving me nuts because the government keeps acting like there's rules for us and not for them, and nobody wants to hold them accountable. And it's crazy. But in the last little bit that I want to get to, as far as the Iran stuff and the international stuff, this is from Dimitri Bolt over at Town Hall. Hang on. I think there may be a clip, but it's taking a minute to load. So hang on. I thought I had a clip for it when I loaded it earlier. Yep, I was right. I do. All right. So this is Victor David Hansen, or Victor Davis Hansen. I think. Did I get his name wrong? I think I got his name wrong. Yeah, Victor Davis Hansen. I don't know why I've always called him David, but I knew I was saying it wrong when I said it. But I already said it, so I had to correct it. All right, here we go.
Victor, extending the ceasefire, the critics of the administration is saying, here we go again. We're just giving them more time. But Trump's, crazy like a fox here. And he knows that, as the Admiral just said, we can move at any time we want.
Yeah, I don't think they think that they have three choices. If they submit, they're going to be humiliated, so they don't want to do that, whoever's in charge. Or they can attack and send some missiles. If they do that, they're going to lose big time their infrastructure. Or I think the most viable, they think, is to drag this out and out. But Donald Trump still has 6 months before the midterms. I don't think they have more than 6 or 7 days until they're going to be broke, and we can even ramp that up. So all the cards are in our hands. The only thing they have for them, Laura, is they feel in this echo chamber of these rival cliques that are running the government, they feel the American left or the anti-war movement, when they hear what you just reported, that the U.S. senator said it's awesome that and that was false. Nobody got through, but he was echoing their propaganda. Or Tim Walz is over in Barcelona saying that this whole enterprise is fascistic. Or Tom Friedman says, well, he'd like Iran to lose, but not if it helps the Trump administration. They hear all that, and so they magnify that, and they think, well, you know what, the left will if we can hold out to the midterms, the left will win and cut off fundings, and we'll get out of this okay. So I thought it was always scurrilous to accuse someone of rooting for the enemy, but I'm just quoting them at their own speech.
All right, so there you have Victor Davis Hansen kind of echoing some of the things that we've been saying around here. And again, I would like to point out that in any other time in history, the opposition party rooting for an enemy of ours would be considered bad. But since it's Trump, it's fine. All right, so we got to talk about this real quick. Well, I say quick, but I'm probably going to run the whole thing, and it'll take us to the top of the hour. But this should pretty nicely close out our segment on Iran and international news because this happened. We hinted to it earlier. I told you I was going to find the clip and let you see it for yourself. But hang on. I just realized I did something wrong. Okay, so let me make sure this is on the screen first and make sure it plays because I've been switching for a lot of tabs and I know the system doesn't like it when I do that. So hang on.
Fox News alert, bridge and power plant day could now be any day of the week. A fierce power struggle breaking out in Iran. And President Trump showing a lot of patience. 47 says U.S. airstrikes have seriously fractured the regime. So Pakistan asked us to hold off on B&P Day until Iran can get it together. Tonight, there could be a coup. No one knows who's calling the shots. Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner were supposed to leave for Islamabad, but they never took off because the Iranian delegation never took off, which is suspicious because this morning, Trump said the gay Ayatollah authorized the deal.
They just got the okay to go forward, which I knew they were going to do anyway. I mean, I don't think they had a choice. They have to negotiate. And, you know, the one thing I'll say is this: Iran can get themselves on a very good footing if they make a deal. They can make themselves into a strong nation again, a wonderful nation again. They have incredible people. But they seem to be, you know, bloodthirsty.
So the gay Ayatollah told his ministers wheels up, but the military said not so fast. We're basically looking at another Iranian hostage crisis. This time they've taken themselves hostage, and therefore the negotiations. The IRGC won't agree to sign over the Strait and the uranium, and they're the only votes that matter because they're the ones with the guns. The generals are demanding Trump lift the blockade as a precondition for more peace talks. They want to play an economic game of chicken.
Iran sees this as a game of endurance. They believe that time is on their side and that ultimately the domestic pressure when it comes to energy markets and the stock market will force President Trump to make a deal that's in their favor. That is not the truth. That is not the reality. The president and his counterparts in Israel have the ability to continue this operation for months if they need to.
It's the Iranians up against the clock. The blockade's already cost them over $1 billion. Checks are bouncing, and their economy's in a death spiral and facing a Great Depression. Scott Bessent says, quote, in a matter of days, Kharg Island storage will be full, and the fragile Iranian oil wells will be shut in. The blockade's turned around 28 ships sailing to or from Iranian ports, most of them oil tankers. And we took custody of a runner sailing in from China with missile ingredients.
We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it which wasn't very nice. A gift from China, perhaps. I don't know. But I was a little surprised, but because I have a very good relationship, and I thought I had an understanding with President Xi, but that's all right. That's the way war goes, right?
And it just got worse for the enemy. The Navy boarded another vessel from their shadow fleet, the Tiffany. How cute. A sanctioned tanker carrying 2 million barrels of Iranian crude sailing to Shanghai. No bueno. The blockade's ripple effect is hitting Beijing. Choke points are getting squeezed from the Gulf to the Strait of Malacca. It just so happens that we conducted joint naval exercises with the Japanese in the South China Sea. And the Army just finished up joint live fire training with the Philippines. Xi's losing friends fast. The president putting pressure on the Middle Kingdom to make its proxy give up the dust. Vance isn't flying halfway across the world to Pakistan for nothing.
This could have a salutary ending. What are the chances of that? I think probably 2 in 3 right now, 65%. They're not sending the vice president over there to walk away again. They really think there'll be a deal. I think there's a 2 in 3 chance we get to it.
And if you watched primetime last night, General Petraeus also seemed optimistic about a deal. He just didn't think it'd happen today. And he was right. Our patience may be running thin, but our stockpile isn't.
It's not my choice, but it will also hurt them. It'll hurt them militarily. They use the bridges for their weapons, for their missile movements. You know, they're trying to move the missiles because we've obliterated most of their missiles, and they're trying to move their missiles around, even during the ceasefire, which I think was a good thing because we're totally loaded up. We have so much ammo. We have so much of everything that we've like much more powerful than it was 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we've used this to restock, and they probably have done a little bit of restocking.
Over the last 24 hours, we're seeing heavy Air Force activity, major resupplies coming in from American bases in Europe. Plus, the USS Gerald Ford just re-entered the Red Sea. And by Saturday, we'll have all 3 carrier strike groups, the Ford, Lincoln, and Bush, in theater. We might unwrap some new toys. The Marines just unveiled a new shore-to-shore landing ship designed to deliver 800 tons of troops, weapons, supplies directly to beachheads. Getting its last coat of paint is the lead ship, the USS McClung, named after a Marine major who was killed in combat in Iraq, the first female graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy to be killed in action. Our anti-sub aircraft, the P-8 Poseidon, has been surveilling the strait from the skies, and they're working overtime. So KC-135